Alright, it's time for the final chapter. Final. Beyond the Darkness. Oh, guess we all pop in here. You're the Dark Priestess, the Demon Dragon. Why do you block my path? What? I have been instructed to lead this world. I will bring peace. Why do you bar my path? You're wrong. Peace at the cost of humanity is hardly any kind of peace at all. The man who ordered you is gone. You can stop. You have no reason to fight. None of us have reason to fight. I feel that eons ago, I heard those same words. Soft words, like a warm breeze. But that was long ago. I have slumbered for far too long. In the darkness, I dreamed. An empty dream. Black, colorless. But I am awoken now. His Highness willed it so. His Highness. You mean Zephiel? I am awoken. I have left the darkness of my dreams. My path is now lit, bro. I know what I must do. I couldn't help myself. I will lead this world. No matter how much time must pass. That is my duty. To insist on fighting us? As long as you stand in my way. Your will seems unbreakable. My will is His Highness's. I awoke for the purpose of fulfilling his desires. Well, dang. Do we have to fight? Huge. I guess everyone that I brought has dialogue here. This is the Demon Dragon. Such power. Yes! Ray's super into it. I'll protect Lord Roy with my life. Can we win? Of course we can. Fascinating. Now, shall we? It begins. This is the end. We've come too far to lose now. I will not lose. Now is the time of truth. I have the Blade of Heartmut, who took pity on you and spared your life. Everyone, leave the final blow to me. So, it is my understanding that there are actually 3 endings in this game. One we already saw on defeating Zephiel without having all the legendary weapons, and then we get the normal end. And then there are 2 endings that you can get here. There's one ending of just killing Eden with anything but the Binding Blade, / Faye is dead. And then you get, I guess, the bad end of stuff here. But if Faye is alive and you kill Eden using the Binding Blade, then you get, like, the true good end. So I'll save state and see both, because I do kind of want to see both here. But yeah, I don't blame Faye for that, honestly. I'd also have a lot of anxiety if all my so-called allies were wielding weapons specifically designed to kill people like me. Yeah, I mean, to be fair. Misread now I was misreading colorless as Colress. I misread that bit there. So are these guys, like, super powered up compared to, the last ones? Not too much, so. Can't move that much. So maybe I just, like, get in there with some guys? Like, Need one to Rutger? Sure. Here we go. This is probably going to be a short chapter, I guess. Also, there's a bunch of reinforcements out the bottom, which I would not be surprised. Come on, this is your final strike of the playthrough, Rutger. Get a crit! Damn you. You didn't want to be cool. He's so badass that he doesn't have to overcompensate. I would divinely smite you, but I think I would much rather see Apocalypse again. That's what I would rather see. Fun fact, there's actually an unused stronger variant of Eden in the game's code. She uses a stronger Dragonstone whose name is an entire string of dummy text. I think I heard about that at one point, where it's like her boss battle was originally meant to be like much more difficult than it actually is. But they took that out because they felt like if they had that in, then the Binding Blade would be the only thing able to kill her anymore, and they wanted to leave the options to the player or something like that. I thought I read that on like some forum or something like that. I could be wrong. Apocalypse. Oh, he's gonna do it twice, too. Yeah, so let's just sit back and enjoy one of the most over-the-top attack animations in the whole game. I got a little bit overexcited. I spilled a little of my water. Yeah, and that doesn't even do it. So, oh my god, he gets a freaking 5% crit! So Rooker didn't get his, but Ray. Oh my god. The sheer aura of this man. Ray might not have been the best story mage to bring. I could have brought someone like Lilina, and it brings closer connections to the story in terms of mage kind of stuff here. I know that she would take the slot of Claren, but, you know. My goodness, Ray. Of curiosity. I could purge. Okay. Here, let's see. Consider yourself purged. Here's a little bit of chip damage. I really like how it uses the same leitmotif as that really calm kind of music box theme that we had with her earlier. That is really quite cool. Ray Aura farms like he's freaking Sorrow out here. Sure seems like. My god. I was really hoping that a Rooker would get a final crit for the road, and he didn't. He was like, nah. Then a Ray with a 5% crit. What a way to end it, huh? Okay, so... bolting, a whole 1 damage. I'm seeing non-binding blade weapons don't do a whole lot. I assume that the legendary weapons probably do a decent bit, though. Of any kind. Oh, shit. Do they act on the same turn they come out? Oh my god, they do. I have bolting here. Okay. Yeah, it's not just those 2 guys. Good to know. But if it's only 1 per turn, I can keep on healing up and it's fine. So, out of curiosity, if I line up here with the Binding Blade, I probably do just win. God, I love ambush spawns. Yep. Oh, Fire Emblem games. Here. So, I guess if I can just win there at any time, let's preemptively, I don't know, save state in that slot. I want to see the other ending first. I don't know, do you want to do this here? Oh, I'm gonna have to put in a lot of effort to whittle you down to see the other ending. Wow. Okay, the Binding Blade's the only one that really does a whole lot of damage. I guess that's something that they wanted to take out there. I assume that you don't move. You're probably not gonna be countering here. Whoa, that's kind of cool. All right, get divinely smitten. I freaking missed. My god. You're sandbagging me here, Saul. I missed a 91 on the final boss with the divine smite from God. My goodness gracious. Here, your support partner's right close. Full of gear. Give it a go. A lot of people are only going to be able to use their divine weapons at close range. And I'm going to be a little smidge sketched out about that dark breath. Okay. Oh, the print's done, by the way. It looks like. Yeah, someone's gonna have to heal Claire in here is the case anyway. So let's go ahead and mend. Let's see the print. Pull that up there. Let's see. What have we got? This little Mega Land trophy here. So take that off. Toss this back. Here we go. That's on there. Yeah. So the 3D print is like that. So our trophy that we're bringing to Mega Land this weekend will look something like, wow. And then when we get the star and, like, glue it in place and stuff like that, it'll look something like that-ish. It's hard to hold in place, man. Something like that will be our trophy for Mario Kart 8 Mega Land 2025. So, I'm gonna need to do some gluing over the next couple days here to get this completed. And maybe, like, paint the star. And I'll reprint the star, but, like, probably after stream here is what I will probably do. And then Yeah, at Megaland this coming up weekend, where I'm going to be playing the trial maps for this game, we'll do the Mario Kart event, and one lucky winner will be taking that home. Is pretty cool, right? With our mods. Oh, I can eat 2 of those. So that works out fine. Gotta use our mods a whole bunch like I did in FE7. It's the axe of my man Hector, after all. Okay. Dark breath. That wasn't a breath, that was a claw. I'm gonna preemptively move Laram here so that when I, when I get Roy in here and get, like, true ending kind of stuff, I have, like, the best odds of critting by having my friends nearby. Alright, meanwhile, over here, let's just go ahead and say, sure, poke this dude. Really well. Like that. Blarg! Oh, but then I guess Thea might need some health. Would be the case. Guess I could have attacked from afar with Claren. But I guess you can also heal too. Do not bolting. Hey. I have so many maps at 999 turns. I know the game is going to show me once the credits roll. How funny would it be if I try to get this map at 999 turns as well? So they're going to spawn like there-ish. Rooker can eat another one, I'm pretty sure. Here. So I'm going to save state here. And then I think Eden's going to die to freaking Armands on enemy phase. I'm blanking. Because I'm dumb. Oh, okay, so that's where one appears. Oh, you move. Okay, so you can move around. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have saved stayed right there. Maybe I can still get the bad end by, killing with Roy, but, like, not with a Binding Blade. If I just use, like, a Worm Slayer. Oh, it's probably not gonna work. Ah, shit. For a second, we were gonna say Rooker can eat a dick. Not quite. Here. Well, let's see. Yeah, Dorothy can take it. That's fine. Yeah, that's a dark breath. There it is. You weren't doing that before. Why did I not weapon switch before I healed? What the hell is wrong with me? Alright, this is not exactly my peak Fire Emblem gameplay right here, is it now? Alright, let's see the different endings. Is what we'll see. So, let's say we finish you off with our mods, like our man Hector. Let's see what the bad end here is first. Because the good end is the one that I'm going to lock in and all that. So, we see the bad one first. Oh, there's so many different attack animations. There's the claw, there's the tail, there's the breath. That's pretty cool. I like that. I am alone in the dark. I am alone in darkness. Complete dark background there for a sec. I'm not saving here. Yeah, I guess she did there. Oh no. Sanctuary is collapsing. Everyone, hurry outside. Let's see this bad end. Lord Roy, you are unharmed. Yes, but the sanctuary is gone. It was over 1,000 years old. A great deal of energy was released in the battle we fought. The foundations probably couldn't withstand the pressure. Yes. Well, Lord Roy, our struggle is over. No, hasn't even started yet. We must help rebuild the land from the damage caused by the war. There is much to be done. The real work is only just beginning. Well, he doesn't seem too upset about Eden's death here. Like, I thought that he might be like, oh man, if only we could have saved her, but I guess not really there. At long last, the days of war have drawn to a close. Following Byrne's surrender, its government was dismantled with the indirect support of the Kingdom of Etruria. So yeah, a lot of this stuff is similar to the ending that we got before at the end of Burn there. With Roy's help, Guinevere inherited the throne, and the new Kingdom of Burn was formally established. Fucker, she was evil anyways. Yeah, I guess Roy changed his mind there. Was the case. But yeah, the amount of damage that I was doing with my cracked units, even with the legendary weapons, like, it's a little smidge on the day of her ascension. But would take, you know, a decent while of whittling away here. So I can imagine if she was even more cracked than that with the original plans, like the other legendary weapons outside the Binding Blade probably wouldn't have been doing much of anything. Princess Guinevere, you have my congratulations on your ascension. Thank you. But my battle is just beginning. I'm sorry. I wish we didn't have to rely on Etruria. What? I wish we didn't have to rely on Etruria. What, are these two like a thing now or something? Not at all. I'm grateful for their support. Because isn't Etruria... I guess, I know that Roy's like Fairy, but I thought that, like, you know, Etruria was just kind of like the whole other nation over there in general. It counts as that. Maybe Fairy is its own little thing going on. It probably is the case. It's probably the case, as I know that, like, Cecilia is the general of Etruria and all that stuff. I don't know. The game shows, like, the whole map and stuff like that, and yet sometimes I struggle when it comes to the, like, actual lay of the land and factions and stuff like that at times. There will be those, however, who think I only joined Etruria to seize the throne. Princess. The most important task at hand is Burn's reconstruction. I must regain the people's trust through my efforts, no matter how long it takes. If there is anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you again. Perhaps I will someday. Roy, are you... Yes? What will you do? Will you stay in the Etrurian army? No. I must return to Fairy. So yeah, I guess Etruria was like the faction that we joined, but technically we're not really a part of Etruria. I'm concerned about my father's illness. And he's a Fire Emblem dad, so he could croak any moment now. And we must begin the reconstruction effort. You are returning home? I'm sure that's for the best. Still, someone of your ability could easily take a place in the Etrurian court. Me? I don't think I deserve such a position. In fact, I think instead I deserve a position in Smash if we're gonna take a route like the foreign trailer in Smash. Fairy is blessed to have such a gifted heir as you. Yeah, to be fair, I also forget where Elibe is on it. Wait, to be fair, I also forget where in Elibe is a full-on nation and where's just a large area. Yeah, Your Highness. Please call me Guinevere. We're on first names basis, bro. What is the matter? Yes, Lady Guinevere. The ceremony is about to begin. Thank you. I will be there shortly. Roy, will you come with me? Me? You have helped me so much ever since I left Burn with the Fire Emblem in hand. I want you to see the path Burn will take under my leadership. Of course, if you will have me, then it is my pleasure to accompany you. Then come, this way. Let us see a new Burn and the beginning of a new era. I guess they didn't keep walking. You can see Roy's sword continuing to poke from the bottom of the screen with his idle animation. It only brought him like one tile off screen and then stopped moving him. That's kind of funny. Elibe was blessed with a new golden age of prosperity, with peace and balance restored across the continent. The long days and nights of battle, which were filled with so much sorrow, hate, and bitter tears, were at last at their long-awaited end. Well, we're gonna have to see the true ending here too. Or I guess best ending. Would it be called true ending or best ending or called something? Oh yeah, here we go. All right, there's credits and stuff. I don't know if I can skip it and see if there's like a post-credit sequence. Just out of curiosity here. The heroes who saved Elibe. We'll see all this when we get the true ending. Hold on, can I start skip? Nope. 10 times speed time. The true ending is that Roy turns into a jet and flies into the sun. Yep, probably. This hurts my ears, so let's go ahead and just, like, stop that. How about? I have 10 times, like, fast forward speed now. Yeah, we'll see these properly when we, get the true ending. I'm just curious if there's something after the credits. Like, Guinevere said, accompany me, so I assume that maybe there would be, like, a scene there or something like that. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of 999s in there. Don't mind that. I'm really good at Fire Emblem, by the way. Oh, okay. Yeah, and then there's the... Okay, so there's special text for those that you brought into the final battle. I didn't know that. I should have brought Lilina into the final battle. Like some of these more story important characters. I was just like, let's bring the ones that are going to work the best gameplay-wise. Damn. Well, whatever. Yeah, there's that Yob again. Dang it. Well, I screwed up. Okay, well, there's nothing after the credits there. Change the fast forward speed back to 4 times just in case. I probably would never need it in the future again. But, alright, that's where it ends. Okay, so now, we do the big stabby stab with the binding blade, all cinematic-like. Let's see it. With the power of the binding blade and Roy's intent through the sword. He didn't even crit. That would have been super cinematic. But alas, we can't all be as cool as Ray. I am alone in the dark. I am alone in darkness. But we did use the binding blade. Which means your life will be spared. Nope. Ah. Oh no. The sanctuary is collapsing. Everyone, hurry outside. Roy, I'll be fine. Now go. I guess he goes back to save her. Lord Roy, you are unharmed. Yes, but the sanctuary is gone. It's over 1,000 years old. A deal of energy was released in the battle we fought. Foundations probably couldn't withstand the pressure. Yes. Today marks the beginning of a new era. Who is that you are carrying on your back? Yes. Merlinus, I need to ask a favor of you. Okay. So yeah, a lot of it is still the same here. And thus, the war known as the Disturbance of Bern was resolved. Following Bern's surrender, its government was dismantled with the indirect support of the Kingdom of Etruria. As I'm like leaning over this way a little bit, I'm feeling the pain in my hip where I got kicked like 5 times today. With Roy's help, Guinevere inherited the throne, and the new Kingdom of Bern was formally established. Heck yeah. And on the day of her ascension. So is this going to be largely the same, but maybe this time we get a post-credit sequence or something? Is maybe what happens? Where it's just a bit happier because Eden gets to live? I mean, Hartmut sealed her away. Like, spared her life, but sealed her away. But Roy took her out of there. So I guess she gets to go live life and stuff? Presumably? Also, is that really that much of a mercy from Hartmut if, you know, you're kind of condemning someone to essentially solitary confinement where they're gonna, like, lose their mind more than they already have, I guess? I know that her soul was apparently shattered and all that, but... Princess Guinevere, you have my congratulations on your ascension. Thank you. My battle is just beginning. I'm sorry. I wish we didn't have to rely on Etruria. Not at all. I'm grateful for their support. There will be those, however, who think I only joined Etruria to seize the throne. Princess. But the most important task at hand is Bern's reconstruction. I must regain the people's trust through my efforts, no matter how long it takes. If there is anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you again. Perhaps I will someday. Roy, are you... Yes? What will you do? Will you stay in the Etrurian army? No, I must return to Fere. I'm concerned about my father's illness, and we must begin the reconstruction effort. You are returning home. I'm sure that's for the best. Still, someone of your ability could easily take a place in the Etrurian court. Me? I don't think I deserve such a position. Fere is blessed to have such a gifted heir as you. Your Highness. Please call me Guinevere. What is the matter? Yes, Lady Guinevere. The ceremony is about to begin. Thank you. I will be there shortly. Roy, will you come with me? Me? You have helped me so much ever since I left Byrne with the Fire Emblem in hand. I want you to see the path Byrne will take under my leadership. Of course. You will have me, and it is my pleasure to accompany you. Then come, this way. Let us see a new Byrne, and the beginning of a new era. It's a universal emote. Later in Arcadia. Ah, Lord Roy, it has been far too long. Yes, it is good to see you. Faye will be glad to see you as well. I saw her earlier. She is even more energetic than I remember. We have allowed her outside more since her return. Perhaps that is why. How is Eden doing? We succeeded in restoring her soul. How does one do that? Yet, he's not back to normal? Faye sometimes takes her outside. She will do nothing without first being told to. See, Lord Roy, we had known for long that she had been captured. I feared the consequences of leaving the village, however. So I forbade any effort to rescue her. Now, though, I wonder whether my judgment was correct. Perhaps the humans are changing the way I think. I will do my best to restore Eden's heart and soul. You have my gratitude. An expression of emotion would be a promising first step. A laugh, for example. And what? I pressed A to just get the... Oh, it's auto-advancing! Right, and this tree has tasty fruit. I need to not touch the controller. Fruit? Yeah. Can you see it? It's up at the top. And if you shake the tree like this... Oh. Fell on my head. I wonder if that's gravity. Eden, can you just laugh? Huh? This is a laugh. Where's Roy? I have to tell Roy that you laughed. The whole spinning around sprite there, it seemed like something I'd seen in like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon 1. Warm breeze. And then the credits roll here. So you see the beginnings of her being able to find herself again. Again, another post-credit scene where it's Ephraim saying a cool guy line and then the logo for Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. Ah, yes, to transition us into the final of the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem game. I know weird stuff happens with audio when I touch my microphone sometimes. All right, well, that was Fire Emblem 6, The Binding Blade. The last of the Fire Emblem games to be Japan exclusive before they started releasing them in the West. The heroes who saved Elibe. Yeah, I should have brought more story important ones in that final battle if I realized that they were going to get, like, a more dedicated outro. Oops. Roy returned home to rebuild the lands in Lycia that were ravaged by the war. He was always popular with the people, and was well remembered long after his tenure as Marquis Fere. And I remember with Smash Bros. Melee that they put Roy in there as a Marth clone, which he has since made like recurrent appearances in later Smash Bros. Games. After returning to Nevada, Faye was never heard from again. Many historians are skeptical that she even existed. Words are hard. Yeah, was originally put in just for Melee as an advertising campaign for this Fire Emblem game that had yet to come out. And I find that funny that, you know, he was put in the game in general, this game that was releasing worldwide, when this game was still Japan exclusive. And then the rest of the world was like, what the hell, who's this Roy guy? We want Fire Emblem games. And they never even bothered to put, like, Roy's game in the West. Laram accompanied Roy to Fairey, where they wed. Many voiced unease about Elysian Marquis marrying a woman of common descent, but in spite of the criticism, they were happy. Yeah, that was just the support that worked out better for me gameplay-wise. If I wanted just, like, the best canonical kind of thing, the thing that I would like the most here, I would have, like, supported him with Lilina. But Lilina had to go support Gonzalez because I wanted to use Gonzalez in my team, and he didn't have any other support options in my party, so that's what it came down to. Ray traveled the world, studying more about magic. Through Ray's efforts, dark magic rose from obscurity and became widely studied. He was well known for being hard on both himself and others and triggering the Apocalypse Tome. But I find it interesting that Nintendo is like, okay, I guess we'll release games in the West from now on, and they started doing that with Fire Emblem 7 Onward, the prequel to this game. But they never actually released Roy's game in other regions. Upon returning to Fairey with Roy, Alan assisted his lord in rebuilding the trampled land. His fiery passion and powerful will were inspiring to many. Like, if they did just release Fire Emblem 6 in the West, I feel like it would have done pretty well because people would have been like, oh, this is the game of Roy, you know? It's from Smash Bros. Melee, the thing that got us more interested in playing some Fire Emblem stuff here. You know, both Roy and Marth being in that game, Dorothy returned to her hometown and led a peaceful life. She was never the flashiest of her comrades. She always knew what was most important in her life. Yeah, like, I get that. But, you know, if they did decide later we do want to release this in the West, and they did release it, like, you know, maybe between Fire Emblem 7 and 8, or something like that in the West, like, it probably wouldn't have performed too poorly just because, you know, it's Roy, it's our boy! Although the church offered him the position of bishop, Saul turned it down and chose to serve the people in his own way. His behavior always led to difficult situations. And we continue to have Roy in future Smash games to this day. We didn't in Brawl, but then we had him as a DLC character in Smash for Wii U. And then, of course, everyone is here with Smash Ultimate. And, you know, lots of people that play Roy in Smash Ultimate. And, you know, most of the people that play him have probably don't know the first thing about Fire Emblem 6. Rooker disappeared without a trace after the war. He was reportedly sighted in various places around the continent, but his name only appears in records of the war. Like, my pal Sate, for example, he plays Roy and Ridley in Smash Ultimate. He doesn't know the first thing about Fire Emblem Binding Blade, and I assume that's the case for probably like 99% of Roy players in Smash Ultimate. Because, I mean, not only is this like an older game that a lot of people probably wouldn't be going back to play, but it's also Japan exclusive. You can only play it in English through like fan-made patches. Claren returned home to Aquilaya and lived her life as she did before the war. Her personality never changed. Her charm earned her the admiration of her peers and the Etrurian nobility. Like, is this the first game playthrough I've ever done on the channel where there was no English release and I had to download a fan translation? Like, I've downloaded, like, fan modifications, like texture packs and stuff like that for lots of playthroughs I've done. Leia returned to Ilia, where she worked to reunite the divided Pegasus Knights. Her diligent work and leadership paid off, and the Pegasus Knights regained their former glory. But yeah, now that I think about it, this might actually be the very first Japan-exclusive game that I've ever done, like, a full playthrough of, where I had to download a fan translation patch. Roy is never beating the he's only popular because he's in Smash allegations. Yeah. There's definitely a decent handful of characters that are more popular for being in Smash Bros. Than in their own games. Roy, Captain Falcon, Ice Climbers, Rob. In terms of other Fire Emblem characters, I would argue Marth and Ike too, honestly. Like, Ike's games definitely have, like, a decent bit of a following. But at this point with, you know, the fan base with Smash Bros., I think that he's more famous as a Smash Bros. Character than, like, as a Fire Emblem character. You could argue that about some of the other potential Fire Emblem characters. I mean, the ones that came out later, you know, that's when Fire Emblem's, like, in its modern popularity, so they're probably more famous for being in their own games. Who else is more popular, or who Who else is more well known for being in Smash than their own games? Maybe Piranha Plant in a sense. I'd say. I guess I would argue probably not. You can recognize Piranha Plant pretty well from Mario, but just like the fact of like, hey, this is like a very mainstay character. I don't know. I'd take that back. Friggin' Lucas and Ness, I would argue, are more powerful, more popular in Smash than their own games too. Though, Earthbound and Mother 3 definitely have their own followings. Look at all those 999s. Technically, Live Alive wasn't released in English until like 2022. Well, I played like the official English release of that. This is my first playthrough of something where I had to download a fan patch because there was no official English release. But yep, Roy continues to be in Smash games, and yet this game has never released worldwide. It was Japan exclusive. But you can play the prequel game where you play as Roy's dad. Returns on the final one. I could have easily done it in probably one if I really tried, but I don't care. Definitely Lucas, but not Ness. Earthbound's popular enough that every indie RPG ever made is just Earthbound, but again. That's a good point, honestly. That is a good point there. Playtime 120. Yeah, the longest playtime you've ever seen on a playthrough of Fire Emblem Binding Blade. Yab! Well. Alright, well, here's these. Blue built a magic school for orphans. Ogier, travel as a mercenary. Yeah, they just get the shorter ones. I am starting to wish that I brought Lilina along, but, like, I'm not redoing the last 2 chapters just to get the other stuff. If you want to see it, look it up. Helped Guinevere rebuild Bern. Work to rebuild Ostia. If you can even find something like that. I don't know how much coverage would be on this game when it was Japan exclusive and all that. Lived as a knight in Ostia. Returned to the Western Isles. Look at all his battles. There's so many battles and very few wins. Continued her training. Continued his life as a mercenary. And the reason for that is just because of how many hand axes I dodged. Like you would expect on a normal playthrough. Worked to help orphans. And helped rebuild Fairy. That you would see so many battles. And then maybe like half to 2/3 of that would be wins. Or something like that. Somewhere in that range. Returned home and was knighted. Retired and enjoyed his life. But here we see like thousands of battles. As opposed to just like dozens / maybe hundreds of wins for like my mainstay characters. Returned home. Journeyed around the continent. And the reason for that being like my crazy ways to grind of just dodging hand axes over and over again. So people racked up. Look at that. Continued his mercenary life. Helped rebuild Fairy. My dick experienced 1,338 battles, but only won 9 of them. My boars, meanwhile, participated in 16 battles and only won 2. Worked to rebuild Bern, worked to rebuild Ostia. So, I mean, I think my dick and boars got a decent bit of combat experience throughout the game, but, like, helped rebuild the Western Isles, returned home to live happily. I said this before, Diek looks suspiciously like Zoro. He absolutely does. Like, I very much felt that, too. Helped rebuild Ilia. Disappeared without a trace. Well. Barth. Rebuilt the Ostian army. Joined his newly reformed clan. Even has a scar, and I think it's on the same eye. Yeah, it's, reopened his trade routes. Became an Etrurian ambassador. You have the short hair, you have the scar. He's a swordsman. He's ripped as hell. Returned to the Western Isles. Worked to rebuild Etruria. Yep, we've got to be getting close to the end of my units here pretty soon, right? Return to Nevada. Return to Nevada. Yeah, not exactly the most interesting things going on with these ending screens. Rose to the top of Etruria's military. Led a humble life. I completely forgot that I even recruited you. I'm gonna be honest. Completely forgot about that one. Continued his studies in magic. Helped Guinevere rebuild Bern. I semi-forgot about Hugh as well, but not as much so. Well, retired and lived peacefully. Disappeared in the mountains, where she heard there was dragons, probably. I would imagine. Continued to work as a Pegasus Knight. Traveled the world as a thief. What? I thought you were gonna, like, put that behind you with, like, the New World of Peace that Roy made. Top 10 lies in video game history, I guess. Continue to spread the word of Saint Elimine. Retired to a village in Bern. Our man Yoder here. How's it going, Reggie Bump morning? We just beat the game. Finn. Fire Emblem 6 is done. It has been conquered. D-Bay's definitely on a quest for the Drangussie. Something I never thought I'd read. Oh my goodness. So, I do want to see here really quickly. Extras. Link Arena, tutorial sound room. How do you do the trial maps? It wouldn't be this. Edit teams. I guess this would be like a multiplayer-like thing. Yeah, they really did, it seemed like. Hold on. Tutorial? Oh, no. I don't need this. Okay, so you can go to like a tutorial from the main menu. Hey, stop. Did I need to actually save? I never want to save after I beat a Fire Emblem game, because then I'm just gonna have like a repeat of my Blue Lions fiasco there. Like, I've learned my lesson after that. But, do I need to actually have like a clear data or something like that? Like, here's sound room. But, oh, start is exit. There's the support conversations that I got. Oh, I think I can see anything because that's just like the save file that I downloaded. Oh, we're getting this theme. Fire Emblem 2 theme. I once again like to remind you of Shadow Dragon NES's best ending. Taros became Sail. Yes. Wait, how the hell do you do the trial maps? So, like, this file that I have here in general has all the things unlocked. So, like, cool, they had multiplayer maps as part of the Game Boy Advance era. I thought that started with Fates. At least, like, facing one another with the Link Arena stuff. How do I do the trial maps? Before I give my full review here. Or maybe I'll just give full review now. I still want to do trial maps at Megaland if I can. If I do need to beat the game again to get that, then fine. Like, I have this point. It's whatever. And then I can create, like, a cleared save data. And that'd be fine if that's what it comes down to. No, before my review. Let's see here. Fire Emblem Binding Blade. Wow. I hit caps somehow. Binding Blade. How to unlock trial maps. Because there should be, like, some post-game content here. And that's the whole reason why I wanted to rush through this before Megaland. Playing the main game multiple times, or yeah. Trial maps. Well, completing the game multiple times should be the characters, I believe. Playing the game under certain conditions or through the feed jump download events. Let's see here. A variation of trial maps found in Sacred Swords. After beating the main story of the game, the player can play in other scenarios found in the extras section. Maps are made for level 20 characters and intended to be extra challenging. I don't see anything in extras here. Unless that is like Link Arena, but like, I doubt it. Perhaps a video should be the answer, maybe. No data. It's like data to build a team with. Okay. Oh, maybe this is trial maps. So I could take like 5. Has no usable weapon, so it cannot join a battle. Oh. That's silly. Here, just out of curiosity. Oh, this is probably just like... Yeah, this is not trial maps then. Ah! Link menu. Link battle against the Link player. Confirm battle records to date. So I guess I could, you know, play against someone else there, but like... Yeah, it's certainly something. Go to YouTube here? Let's see. Fire Emblem Binding Blade. Trial maps. Trial maps S rank. Here's one where it looks like it starts from the main menu. Marth Lowell, huh? Let's see here. So I have a different patch there. Sword of Seals. Huh? Extra. Wait. Yeah, trial map is like the first one there. So there's 4 options, I believe. They have tutorial, Link Arena, sound room, like I do, but they don't have support conversation? Is it a weird thing about, like, the patch that I'm playing on? How do I do the friggin' trial map? Do I need a cleared game data? Let's see here really quickly. I'm gonna go into my, probably because you didn't save? Maybe. Maybe then. Where's my folder for the thing here? Let's see here. It's not on that drive. Is it on this drive? Let's see here, which is just kind of generic storage. Because I don't need to load anything with this all that fast. Here, I can take my Binding Blade save. Just in case I want any of those for anything, I guess. And then I go into my Binding Blade folder for playthroughs. I put it there just in case I want any of those files, like to restart right before the route splits, do the final human map, and then do like the final stretch. Just in case of that. I should be all backed up now and stuff. Oh, I even have an old saves folder here. I have one for a Blazing Sword. It looks like I made a one there. Seems. But yeah, just get the ending again, save and speed through it. Occam's Razor. Yep. I think that's a good idea here. So let's say I load state right here. I get my end. Binding Blade. Here, I'm gonna set the fast forward speed to 10 times. And then, okay, so it just doesn't even doesn't even play audio anymore at 10 times speed. So yeah, let's just save here. How about? Okay, so now it's listed as epilogue, is what it's called. I got to watch the ending. Well, it depends. How fast can you read? Oh my god. Oh my god, my ears. In the meantime, you want to hear like the sick remix that I played on the Stream Starting Soon screen? Let's see here. It was on this one, a remaster of Priestess in the Dark. So essentially the final boss theme here. I thought this was a really cool remix that I'd found here recently. So I had this playing for my Stream Starting Soon screen. It's really quiet right now, but it will pick up. I'll just turn it up here anyway. And I can't hit start. All right, well, how fast can you read? Okay, yeah, look at all that. Wow. It's gonna pick up here in a second. You can probably barely hear it. But it starts with like the music box kind of bit. And then it picks up. Yeah, get her soul back and stuff. Here we go. Yeah, heroes who saved Elibe. Turn it up, but like, it's gonna really pick up in a second here. I guess I'll give my full review of this game. So, this was the very first of the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem games. Second one that I've beaten. I played Sacred Stones a bunch, but I never beat it. So, you know, that's not one I've beaten. But this is the thing that really kicked off the Game Boy Advance trilogy. And the thing that set the precedent for what all the Game Boy Advance games were going to follow in terms of, like, engine, art style, all that stuff. And I do really, really like the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem games. I think they're very extremely charming. And I think that a lot of indie games that try to follow in Fire Emblem's footsteps, a lot of them look to the Game Boy Advance games. Like, look at Dark Deity, for example. And Dark Deity 2 that I still have ongoing right now. Like, that feels very much like Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem inspired. With, like, the super clean 2D pixel art and just the amazing crit animations and just everything there. Like, it is extremely, extremely charming. I don't know how we went from this to, like, Shadow Dragon on the Nintendo DS being the ugly thing that it is. Like, if I was just looking at 2 games by art style alone and I saw Shadow Dragon and I saw, like, any of the Game Boy Advance games here, I would choose the Game Boy Advance games. Like, they are extremely visually satisfying. I really like the look of them. I love the graphics of these games. Here, let me see here. So, yeah, there's no resume chapter. So if I say restart chapter epilogue, well, it just does this. it just does this again. So it is like a situation with the freaking blue lines like I had before. But if I reset here, now that I have that clear data there, extras. Okay, there we go. Trial map. I did need to have clear data. I gotcha. Because a lot of DS games try to mimic a 3D model because they can reliably handle it. Yeah, but it's ugly. Yeah, so I can only select epilogue here. I gotcha. So these are the 5 maps that I can do at Megaland. And Roy's trial is apparently going to be like Roy alone. Play this map. Let's just have a look-see here. Pick units. Only Roy. Yeah, so like my durability carries over and stuff there. I'm not actually going to play it. But, wow. Alright, well, I'll do some of this stuff at Megaland. Is what I shall do. Maybe show off the complete Mario Kart trophy that I was printing here. Yeah, that's a lot of guys. They're all axe guys, though. So if I grab the fort or went onto an avoidance tile, well, they're not all axe guys, I see. But yeah, okay, good. I can do trial maps then. I can do those at that event. Okay, so I do very much love the visuals. The battles are clean. The map looks nice. It's just very good looking. See, look, it kind of picks up here a decent bit. I really quite like this remix. This is a remix by Nolan Music. Nolan with 2 L's there. Like, it's so cool. Man, if Shadow Dragon wasn't so ugly, it'd be peak. The game is so much fun because there's 0 degree of game balance. Too bad for the ugliness that, But yeah, I really, really like the charm of this game and all 3 of the, just all 3 of the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem games. They look really nice. So I love the graphics of this game. The music, it felt like it got the job done. It wasn't terrible by any means, but I do wish that there was more variety across the maps because it would get kind of repetitive. And I really didn't like how they handled the music looping. So if I'm just doing like turns rapid fire, anytime player phase starts, it restarts the player phase music from like the beginning of the loop again. So as you're just ending turns rapidly, you end up hearing like the same bit of music over and over and over again because it keeps restarting from that point in the loop instead of just continuing from where it left off. So that really contributed to like the music feeling kind of annoying and repetitive. But it did have like some pretty cool themes like Priestess in the Dark. I definitely appreciated the final map themes there. They were pretty cool. It did have some stuff that I liked. So like the music was serviceable, but I do wish that they had done some different things with it. Some more variety and just not loop in that way. I guess maybe they also weren't expecting people to be ending turns as frequently as me or something like that. Maybe. So that's what I feel about the music there. I know we memed this game was so badly balanced that they didn't want to port it, but a realistic scenario would be they already finished this game before the popularity of FE came by in Melee. Yeah, that would have been the case, and that's kind of what led them to decide to bring FE7 to the West. Like, oh, people want to see what games these guys are from. Let's actually bring FE7 to the West. And then they brought FE7 to the West and had things like the Lin prologue to kind of introduce new players into Fire Emblem and all that stuff, since it was the first international one. But they could have also just brought FE6 over later. And like I was saying earlier, I feel like it probably would have done all right sales-wise because people would be like, oh, that's Roy's game. We finally get to play that. Like, there probably would have been some interest for that. Let's see here. Do I have a, do I not have a tab open with like my DVD stream playlist? I do here. Here's a Elden Ring remix that we're starting out with. Gonna be kind of fitting for Elden Ring Night Rain coming out tomorrow. Technically today, since after midnight. It doesn't say exactly when it unlocks. I think it's supposed to be like 3 p.m. my time zone or something like that. Or 4 p.m. my time zone, 3 p.m. Pacific time. It's coming here. PC gets it 1 day earlier than consoles. So we shall see. I preloaded it and stuff. Yeah, but it might have tanked the series based on this game. Think that might have happened there. You ever play Shrek Mario Kart? It's a 3D Game Boy Advance game, and it's ugly as shit and also really bad. Where is this coming from? What? And no, I can't say I have, as a matter of fact. But, yeah, anyway. So yeah, that's what I felt about the music. The story, it starts in, like, a very typical Fire Emblem way, where it's like, oh, there was peace until the Fire Nation attacked and all that. when Burn got all up in everyone's business and starts invading and stuff, and now we gotta stop them. Like, all right, pretty typical start there. Oh, Rage Bum's earlier comment about 3D Game Boy Advance games. Oh, technically Game Boy Advance could handle 3D graphics. Most games just didn't use them because it wasn't stable enough to reliably use that style. I gotcha. Okay, yeah, I missed that earlier thing. Whoops. I gotcha where it's coming from now. So yeah, that felt really typical. And then most of the story honestly felt to me like quite a bit of a nothing burger. Like, it's just... I wasn't entirely sure what brought us to these different places of the world. It was just all of a sudden when you begin a chapter and there's like the little intro. It's like, oh, Roy's group ended up going to this place because there's like some bad guys from Burn that are stirring shit up there and they're gonna go deal with that. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's where we are now. And then we spend like a few chapters there. And then it's like, hey, look, a blue Manakete. And then it's like, oh, now we're moving on to the next area and dealing with like some guys there. But it's not really established, like, do we need to liberate the continent and get allies before we can reliably invade Burn? Is there anything stopping us from just like invading Burn immediately and stopping Zephiel directly? Like, it feels like we just spend a whole lot of time screwing around liberating a lot of places. And clearly we don't even liberate all the continent. You either don't liberate Ilia or you don't liberate Sake, depending on which route you take. You go after one of them that's decided based on which units you leveled up, and the other one just, like, gets screwed over and, like, you don't do anything about. So, a whole lot of the game just feels like you're screwing off wherever the game needs you to screw off to and deal with more bad guys. And so, the story feels pretty generic then. I found it wasn't really very interesting for most of the duration of it. And it didn't really feel like I was working towards, like, the ultimate goal, because I had no sense of progression for us actually going and, like, stopping Burn and Zephiel and, like, the picture coming together. It's kind of like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, in the sense where, in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you need to go around the world and make friends. You gotta make allies, as you're, like, the newcomers to England here. How many allies do you need to make? Unclear. You just get, like, the option to go start, like, a sub-quest every once in a while for... like a new region, essentially. And you gotta do it until the game decides, all right, that's enough. You can, you know, advance the story now. Or from time to time, there'll be these friendship quests that do advance, like, the main plot line a little bit. But most of them are just, like, these disconnected sub-stories that contribute nothing to the overall narrative. But you have to go around the map just getting friends for some inexplicable purpose. It's not like Ravensthorpe is at all that much threat of invasion. They get raided, like, once, and that leads into a friendship quest that's just immediately resolved. There's like no threat. Why are we making these friends? I don't get it. Loose hair in my mouth. Loose mustache hair. So there's like no sense of progression. It just feels like we're screwing around making friends until the game decides we've done enough and it's time to like continue with main story stuff. And that's kind of what this game feels like, where it feels like we're kind of screwing off, like getting allies and freeing regions without really having like a sense of progression. It felt like they decided this game was going to be 25 chapters plus guidance, of course. How are we gonna pad that out to make that happen? So that's kind of what it felt like. There wasn't really a sense of progression in the story, and it didn't really hook me in all that much. Though I did find it kind of interesting towards the end with like, you know, the backstory with Zephiel, him losing his faith in humanity because of like him hating his father and stuff like that. That was all pissed off at him and never being good enough, and Zephiel being like, wow, humans really suck, all these emotions that hold us back. Let's give the world to the dragons and stuff. Like, I don't think that it's like a masterpiece of storytelling or anything, but it's like, okay, wow, what a twisty twist. There's something interesting. There's something that holds my attention. If we focused on something like that throughout the story, that would be enough to keep my attention there. So like my attention was very much kept for like the final arc where we take on Zephiel and then we face the ghosts of Burn, and it's like, what are they fighting to protect? And then we find out the dark truth there, and Eden having that tragic backstory of being made into a demon dragon and all that, and her own will being stripped away. And it's like, do we kill her or do we spare her and stuff like Hartmut did? And, you know, there's some interesting stuff going on. Like, again, I don't think that's like a masterpiece of storytelling, but during the last smidge there, I do think that there's like some interesting elements. And I do think that if the game had focused more on the relationships of like humans and dragons throughout it, and like the scouring and stuff there, and seeming like, Zephiel's working up towards something that has to do with, like, giving the world back to the dragons, rather than that being, like, a third act plot twist kind of thing where Bob there. I do think that would have made for, like, a more engaging story as we explore, like, the whole dynamic of demons and dragons there. So, there was some interesting elements to this story. Like, it clearly wasn't made without any thought at all. But I do wish that we had actually explored those interesting elements a bit more throughout the plot, so that 90% of this game didn't feel like a nothing burger. Is my opinion on the story there. The question is, how well was this translated? I don't know anything about the original, and I don't speak Japanese, so I couldn't tell you, but in terms of just, like, my understanding as an English speaker, it felt like it was translated pretty well. I think the translation team here did a really great job, so props to everyone that was involved with that. I don't know how big of a group it was, how long it took, but, like, props to the translation team. Oh, and I guess you see, like, the demon dragon there with the flash and stuff. Here's something both, story-wise and gameplay-wise I can criticize in a sec here. Don't think this game would have tanked the series. It probably would have ended up as a sacred cow a la FE7 due to nostalgia, where you can't criticize it without starting shit. Just describe the first third of Conquest going around friends and it's a nothing burger with no sense of progression. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. That is essentially the case there. Garen just sends us out on jobs until stuff happens. That is how it goes. But at least I find that a little bit more interesting, because at least there's, like, the dynamic between you and, like, the other royals and, like, Garen and all that. This game doesn't even have something like that. This one's even more of a nothing burger along the way. But yeah, in terms of both story and gameplay, a big thing to criticize. Just how unclear it is for, like, true ending stuff. So, to get that true ending, to have the game not end on chapter 22, you need to do every guide in chapter, each of which has, like, niche unlock conditions in the prior map. Without telling you, the only one that seemed kind of hinted at was the chapter 21X, where if you take more than 30 turns, another boss comes out and is like, did you deal with a legendary weapon? Yes, we properly disposed of it. Good, now they can't reach it. Telling you that, like, oh, I guess if I, did this map faster, then I'd be able to get that legendary weapon. But I think that's, like, the only one that even hints at there being a guide in there. Otherwise, it's just, like, figure out the conditions. Usually it's win within a certain amount of turns. Sometimes it's things like Douglas has to be alive in that one chapter, when he's a red unit that'll also come after you. So, players going in blind are not really going to find that, I don't think, even on repeat playthroughs, unless they have, like, a good idea of where these things are going to be. Because there's just a lot of niche kind of conditions and stuff. Like, it should be hinted at more. So, a player on a casual playthrough is going to get the default end where Eden is off doing something. I guess she never goes and takes over the world after all. Or maybe it's a thing that's hinted at where it's like something happened eons later. Like, she's just gathering her strength there and preparing to attack. So, like, there was no attack that was hinted at with, like, the true ending that would happen, like, centuries in the future or whatever it is. And dragons can live for a long time, so I guess in the bad end, that was Eden coming out and taking over the land and stuff like that, I guess. But for the most part, it just feels like, oh yeah, things just kind of ended. These plot points aren't really finished. But it feels like, it didn't really feel like something major was missed. What more could I have done? And yet, you need to do all the niche conditions for the guidance and stuff like that. So if you're not following a guide, good freaking luck. You're gonna be getting that ending instead. My goodness. Yes, me when I intentionally hide critical information from the player. Yep. Welcome to the 2000s, where guides were necessities and translation had just begun to be taken seriously. Yeah, it's kind of that era of gaming, isn't it? So, yeah. The story on its own without the true ending is definitely much worse. It's not really doing all that much interesting at all in that case. Like, maybe just the tiniest little twiddly wink of interesting stuff. A lot more interesting stuff that you get with the true ending, but it's just, yeah. It feels like it'd be very lackluster without doing that stuff. And with no real insight that that's what you need to do, it's like, what the heck? How did anyone ever figure this out? I don't get it. So, yeah, that's the last little bit about the story and it kind of tying to gameplay. Something that's semi-story-wise, but more so gameplay-wise, the route splits in this. So not only are there niche conditions for the guidance chapters, but there's niche weird conditions that how would anyone figure this out for the guidance? Not the guide, the route splits. Like, the whole, these two characters have more collective EXP, or these two characters have more collective EXP. That determines whether you go to Ilia or Sake for the next 4 chapters, which is a decent chunk of the game. Like, maybe it's for the sake of replay value, like, let's play and use some different characters and see what happens. Or maybe you talk with a friend and talk about the chapters that you did and say like, oh, I went to Sake. Oh, I went to Ilia. I wonder what causes that. And then try to get players to play more and see if they can go to the other route or something like that. Because the game itself never implies that there is a route split. It just goes on with whatever route the EXP that you've accrued determines you go on. Or like the earlier route split, whatever the conditions for that are. I don't remember. There's no implication that there was like a choice or a splitting a route. It's just like, yep, this is what you get according to these like niche conditions that the game is never going to tell you about. So like, hey, at least there's like some different maps. There's some replay value and stuff. But if you don't really know how to trigger those conditions and get the guidance or the route that you didn't get before, then there's a good chance that you might just end up doing the same thing again. So, you know, I do wish that it was a bit clearer. They do that in FE7 too. If Elwood, Lyn, and Hector have a collected level about 50, you fight Linus instead of Lloyd. Yeah, but at least that's like something minor and not like the next 4 chapters are completely different and follow a different plot arc otherwise with niche conditions based on level. Like, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of that. That might be the only stuff in terms of like routing and story. Now into proper gameplay. A lot of the game felt not too bad. Like even playing on hard mode here. I know that I was cheesing the game here, but I'm sure that I could figure it out with like several attempts, even if I was just like playing casually through. Except for some maps, like 7, 14. My goodness gracious, Arcadia just like combined everyone's least favorite Fire Emblem mechanics all into one map is very much what it felt like. Low movement because of sand, fog of war, ambush spawn reinforcements that act on the same turn they come out, a bunch of cracked enemy manakeets waiting for you in ambush that are just gonna wreck you the moment that you get into their range if you don't have like a unit ready to take it. I think that there was sleep staves that just completely disable some of your units for a little while. Like, man, it has it all, that map. Like, there are some crazy things. I've never played this game on normal mode, so I don't know how difficult those maps would be on normal mode. Like, maybe on normal mode with, like, a bit of trial and error, I could see myself getting through, like, Chapter 7, like, A-okay, and same with Chapter 14. But with my only experience being hard mode, let me tell you at least, dear God, Chapter 7 and 14, I think those are the 2 chapters of this game that are going to stick in my memory the most. It's always the ones I struggle with the most, and therefore spend, like, the most hours in that are going to stick in my memory the most. Naturally, I spent the most time with them, struggling against them and all that. And when I think of hard maps in Fire Emblem 7, I'm going to think of 7 and 14. Hard maps in Fire Emblem 6, I'm going to think of 7 and 14. Because my goodness gracious, those ones were pretty insane, let me tell you. So, this game definitely does have a decent bit of challenge. Let's see here. The strategy was cruelly genius. Lock the true ending behind improbable conditions, but explain them in detail through a guide. Essentially physical DLC. Yeah, like, there's no way anyone is getting this just blind figuring it out. Like, no freaking way. But then, if you can make money off of physical guides, since there wasn't all that much in the way of, like, online guides at the time and people posting that kind of thing, then the only way you're going to find out is if you already have someone that knows through a guide themselves and pass it along the grapevine, or like you get a guide yourself. So maybe that was the intention, and maybe it was meant to sell more guides or something like that. But yeah, Harmonia's been working the graveyard shift all week to finish this game. You're not wrong. And here I am at 2 in the morning. I finished it. I got it done before Megaland after all. This was the last, my God, this was the last night I could do it. Because if I stream tomorrow, technically today, then it'll probably be Night Rain. And me and my little cousin discussed at Taekwondo today, potentially doing that. I gotta get my computer packed up for Megaland. So I gotta spend tomorrow packing so that on Friday, I can immediately just like drive to the venue. So I want to get this computer packed up tomorrow. So I don't know how much Night Rain I'd be able to play. but a little bit on launch. I do kind of want to play it a little bit, and it sounds like he does too. So tomorrow we might do just like a little smidge, and then we gotta like pack up. I'm gonna drive over there, pick up all their chairs, throw it into the back of my truck, and then like load up my computer and stuff like that in my truck, park it into the garage so it's safe for the night, and just be at the ready and stuff. So tomorrow's gonna be a bit of a packing day. I'll pack all my console stuff. Maybe leave my computer here until I've played a little bit of Night Rain. So yeah, considering I'll be doing Night Rain stuff, I don't have any time for this past this. So I beat it before Mega Land on my last possible day that I could do it. Like, this was such an extremely close call, my god. Yeah, let's see here. FE7 had some what the fuck moments that make this game look straightforward by comparison. Unlocking Nurgle's chapter is like Castlevania 2 levels of how was I supposed to know this? I feel like both of them are pretty equally bullshit, honestly, with some of the conditions. Because, my goodness. I know that, well, I don't know, maybe FE7 is a little bit more niche. FE7 is the game that had a Gaiden within a Gaiden, to be fair. So, I mean, well, sprite glitched out a little bit there. So, yeah, maybe FE7 is the one that has, like, the more niche conditions. At least this one, it's usually it's, like, win within X amount of turns. Sometimes there's more niche things like keep Douglas alive, but most of the Gaidens are just, like, win within certain turns on the prior chapter. Whereas, I remember in my review of FE7 at the end, one of my complaints was just, like, the sheer obscure bullshit to get all the guidance and stuff was certainly something. But yeah, let's see here. Do you go to the local library and check out GameSpot to know what to do? I guess so, or something. Why do you always stay up ridiculously late before cons? It's going to be Walking Dead all over again. Yeah, I just needed to finish this tonight. I was busy earlier today. Okay, here's my explanation for going late tonight. I would have done this earlier, but I had Taekwondo today, and I didn't want to start at a time where I was worried about, like, saying, oh, I gotta end this right now, and I gotta go to class. Like, I just want to do it, like, all the way through, and not leave off right in the middle of things. So I did my Taekwondo class. It was sparring today, so I was extremely exhausted, and I received a decent amount of blows in unprotected areas on my body, like my right hip, for example, that I still very much feel. I feel like I'm gonna check this tomorrow. Like, I can feel on the skin right here on the side. It might just be, like, a different shade tomorrow, because that received a decent bit of damage. I came home, like, so sore. My right hip, my left wrist, something, like, really messed them up in sparring today. So I just needed to take some time to chill out. I went over to my neighbor's place because I was parking, and my neighbor started chatting with me because it turns out a couple of my grafts that I put on their trees took. So then I went over there and I was chatting with the neighbors, and I was looking at the grafts that I put on their tree while I was chatting with that. I'm at 2 out of 3 on their tree now. This one is taken. It'll be a new central leader that goes up and gives, like, definition to the tree as it grows in. And this one, this little horizontal branch here, it's so cool to look at, like, bark that's so completely different. Like, you can tell these are very different things, and yet they're growing on the same tree here. So I was being shown that, and that was super satisfying. And so I was chatting with the neighbors for a little bit, and then I came inside and I had a shower. My hair's still slightly damp, and then I got in the hot tub in the sunroom, and I was in there for a little while and, like, really focusing my key joints on those jets to feel better. I felt a lot better. And then I came down here, I downed some tall glasses of water, and I ate an apple to try and get my energy back, and then I started streaming. And by then, it was already nearly midnight. I started streaming at, like, 11:45. So this is kind of what happens. And I mean, the prior nights are just like, hey, let's just go until I'm really tired and I have to get some sleep, because I wanted to commit to beating this game. Like, maybe now that this is through and there's going to be less of a rush, maybe I won't be as frantically trying to get through things. I don't know. But that's my explanation for today, at least. But yeah. It requires your library to have that section in the first place, or the game to be relevant enough to be included there. That is true. And I wonder what that would look like in Japan there, where this released exclusively. Better not do 24 hours of pinball this time, or it'll be rough. Well, I don't think I'm going to do, like, 24 hours at this land in general. I'm going to have to do a 24-hour cherry stream sometime this coming month, which I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do yet. I'll get some plans figured out and do a 24-hour cherry stream next month. The 12th one we'll be doing next month. But I'm probably not going to go too ham on things during Megaland. I mean, okay, let me finish my review, and then I'm going to show my Mega Land plans, because it's actually going to be close, and I might actually have to be awake a decent while to get through everything I want to get through. But yeah, FE7's conditions are way more obtuse. FE7 requires you to get Nils to level 7 in Linsdale, and then get a Gaiden in a Gaiden. That's true. Yeah, you're right. FE7's ones are more obscured here. They sure do be fun. And to think some people want those things back. Yeah, he won't do pinball, he'll binge Sonic. No, thank you. But yeah, gameplay-wise, there was definitely some maps with, like, such a shit ton of enemies. Like, I will think to Chapter 7, where I feel like that could potentially be toned down a little bit. But, you know, for the most part, like, as someone that's played a lot of Fire Emblem, it was manageable. It was hard, but manageable. Obviously, you know, I was doing cracked things with my units. But, you know, I wouldn't have had that right off the get-go. And from the get-go, some of these early chapters, they felt like, okay, this is hard, but manageable. Like, I can see it being possible. I'm definitely not a fan of the ambush spawn reinforcements that act on the same turn they come out. Like, oh, you didn't have the information that these enemies were going to appear here from this turn onward? Oh, guess that's just a reset because they just come out here and they hit Roy, you know? Like, it's just disrespectful to your time. Because it's, like, it's not like you failed strategically in any way. It's just, get screwed. Here's information that you just didn't have. And now you're dead for it because they act in the same turn they come out. It wouldn't be as big a deal if they just didn't act in the same turn that they come out, because then at least you have your next player phase to decide, how do I get myself out of this situation? But when you have reinforcements that act on the same turn they come out, it doesn't give the player any chance to actually strategize around that unless they already had, like, the information ahead of time. So I would argue it goes completely against, like, the nature of strategy games by taking away the ability for the player to strategize. So I will always criticize random ambush spawn reinforcements that act on the same turn they come out. Just don't have them act on the same turn they come out if you really want to do the reinforcements, and that at least still gives some control to the player to be able to get out of that situation, instead of just being like, sucks to suck, guess you die. So I think that that is, like, one of the worst mechanics ever in Fire Emblem games, and it really sucks that this is one of the games that really relies on that a whole lot. So I didn't like that. I don't like the durability of the legendary weapons. Like, oh, these weapons are so legendary, they were used like a millennia ago. You can only use them 20 times, and then they break, and they're gone forever. And you can't get a true ending anymore. If you did that, like, I just wanted to not use the legendary weapons until, like, right at the end, because they just are so fragile, and I just don't really like that feel. The RNGs felt semi-cursed. I know that people have long said, I've at least long heard, that Fire Emblem 6 has, like, some pretty cursed RNG, where it's like, yeah, things are just not going to be landing, you're going to be missing like crazy. From the horror stories I heard, it definitely wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It did feel a little bit cursed, but if I had to, like, from all the Fire Emblem games that I've played, say which one I think had the most cursed RNG, I would still say it's Fire Emblem Engage. Like, I used to for a long time think that Fates had the most cursed RNG, but then Engage came out, which felt like it was Fates RNG, but, like, on meth, is what it felt like. Like, they just took that shit to 11. It was just Fates RNG, but a bit more cracked, is what Engage felt like to me. I think that Engage had more cracked RNG than this game. Like, this game had pretty cracked RNG. It felt a little bit funky at times, but I've experienced much worse RNG, I feel like. I feel like I would say that both Fates and Engage had more wacky RNG than this game. Well, Engage for sure. Fates, maybe. Maybe I would go, like, Fates, FE6, Engage for, like, levels of cracked RNG. Maybe is how I might actually rank it. Like, this was certainly something here. The hit rates I do wish were a little bit better in this game with some things like axes, for example. Like the fact that axes kind of suck in this game because, like, hit rates are terrible, and then things like swords are gonna be meta when you could actually land some of them. It didn't feel too bad for me a lot of the time, but that was also because I was using, like, crazy bullshit strats to grind up all my units and stuff, so I didn't exactly have the most normal experience. But, you know, I do wish that axes were a little bit more reliable there. I do wish that some of the characters, like the fighters, were a bit more usable. Some of the growth rates in this game are pretty weird. Like, before I even started this playthrough, when I just looked up all the characters' growth rates and was planning out my team, I did want to have, like, one of every promoted class in my team. I was originally going to have, like, a warrior instead of having 2 sages. Then I'd have, like, such variety like that. Or, no, I guess I wouldn't have had, like, one of each, because I would have also had to have, like, a nomad trooper as another one. But I thought about doing, like, a nomad trooper or having a warrior, and then I'd have, like, another character that has bows in addition to my sniper. But I was looking at the growths of all the nomad characters, and especially at the growths of all the fighters, and I was like, wow, this just freaking sucks. Let's go with the units that actually have good growths, like really good growths like Gonzalez or Rutger, or the units that have, like, pretty alrighty growths, like Dorothy. That's gonna be a whole lot more usable than Walt. Like, there's so many characters that are just, like, set up for disaster with their growth rates, which I feel like is probably one of the reasons why a lot of people would go play something like Project Ember instead of original Fire Emblem 6, as projects like that have aimed to kind of balance things a little bit better, improve the hit rates, and just make more characters usable by actually patching up their growths. Oh, that reminds me of another thing. The fact that thieves don't promote in this game. Like, they don't promote in this game. In FE7, they can promote, but they lose their thieving abilities, so you can use them throughout the game still. But if you want someone for thief stuff, you still gotta bring an unpromoted thief. And there's finally FE8 Sacred Stones, where you can finally promote a thief and have them do thief things. But the fact that you can't promote thieves here, if there's a map with a bunch of chests or, like, items that you want to steal, you're gonna want to bring your thief at that point. And that's fine early on, but towards the end of the game, it feels like an escort mission, because they're going to be so dang underpowered and flimsy that you basically just have to escort them around. They won't be able to contribute to this map in any other way since they can't promote. And that just feels really shitty when it's like, hey, I have to use this slot purely for the ability to steal. They're not going to contribute anything else to the map than this. Like, I don't like that. How's the video essay coming along? Is it still on track for the Switch 2 release? I think so. I've been going pretty ham on it the past couple days. I don't think I'm going to have it done before Megaland like I originally hoped. I'm going to be really busy on packing tomorrow. But I might be able to do it very shortly after. I have 10 minutes of script left to edit down. I can do that in a couple hours. So, I could stay up even longer and do it tonight. But I should probably get some sleep here. You know, get into a little bit of a decent cycle before Megaland coming up. Because tomorrow I want to go to Costco and pick up a bunch of buns to bring to the potluck. I gotta set up Xenoblade Chronicles X, my new skills. I want to properly set up the new colors on. And Final Fantasy VII, I gotta transfer my save data from my laptop from when I was out of town back to my desktop here. Because I might want to do a little bit of Final Fantasy VII stuff there of recruiting new characters. And this, I can't seem to get the cloud save working, so I just do it manually with that game. I'm going to be going over to the neighbor's place to help cut the seed stalks off of the rhubarb and hill the potatoes. I am going to be packing up all my console stuff that I need and getting things ready. Maybe if I have some time, I might add some new sound effects to, like, the sound effect thingamabob before the event. That could be kind of cool there. Take like 30 Costco hot dogs to Megaland. Oh, people will be hyped if I did that. They would probably actually really like that. That'd be fun there. Maybe I'll end up playing a little bit of Night Rain tomorrow, in which case it's gonna have to be brief, and then I'm gonna have to, you know, dismantle my whole setup here immediately after, pack it into my truck, drive over to my cousin's place, who I was just playing Night Rain with at the time, or will presumably have just been playing Night Rain with, and then pack up all their chairs into the back of my truck and ratchet strap it down and, you know, get the truck all ready for, yeah, for the trip. I have a decent bit of prep stuff to do tomorrow. So I don't know if I'm going to be finishing the video essay before Megaland, because I hope to have it finished before then, and then render it, then I could just like proof watch it and do little touch-ups after the fact. But it's going to be pretty close. It is definitely going to be pretty close here. Maybe I can wedge in some time to do it tomorrow during the day. Maybe. We'll see. But I have actually been making some good progress on this, and I'm looking forward to it being done. But yeah, let's see here. I'm starting to see which FE game inspired Three Houses. If you're not cheesing a game to level up, then you're not playing right. Agreed. And you can't again engage, but they were given the buff to reach level 40 for thieves. Yeah, at least there was that so they could continue leveling. But yeah, it would be really nice if there was just a thief promotion. What else with this game here? Speaking about promotions, Roy. He promotes right before the map that's the normal final boss. So you only get like one map with him promoted under normal circumstances. And then I guess like 4 maps total with him promoted. Technically, like, I guess you could argue 3 maps and one of them is like a 2-parter where he's actually promoted. And because he's mandatory to take along as well, it turns so much of the game into an escort mission for Roy. Like, you can use him for like the first half of the game here and there from on occasion. Like, even right out of the box, he is pretty not great. And then you just have to, so you already semi have to escort him right from the beginning, but then as it goes on, especially so. So like your main character, you have to be escorted around by all your other characters, and that just isn't fun. Like, just have him promote earlier, but just get the binding blade later added to his inventory. You know, he shouldn't have to get the binding blade to promote. It's not like he, you know, embraced like a really cool visual difference that makes it feel like he powered up. Like, he looks the exact same. It's just he can gain more levels now and he gets the promotion bonuses. So I don't know what the heck the point is of having him promote so late. Because it should feel like, ooh, he's like super powerful now. Now he can go take on Zephiel. Instead, the impression that it actually gives is, oh, he's a little bit better now. I don't have to escort him as much, but like he's still pretty flimsy because he only just promoted, you know? It's just like, oh, he's less ass. Like, maybe he can potentially do something in the map, but I'm still gonna have to like funnel levels into him. So if they save the promotion for so late to make it feel to the player like he's gotten a major power boost and can now take on Zephiel, it really doesn't have that feel. So it's just, I don't think it works out. The Reggie Bump redeemed suggest a poll. Number of hot dogs Harmonia should take. Man, let's see here. How do I do a poll again? Manage poll. This doesn't mean I'm taking hot dogs to Megaland. Can you buy, like, Costco hot dogs just, like, to make at home? Is that a thing that you can do? Or can you only buy the $1.50 hot dog to, like, eat there individually? Like, what do they actually do? Do we allow channel points to change stream equipment was the last poll. New poll. Wait, you can't write in additional things. I can only do, like, set responses. Let's see here. I can just copy the question directly. Fine, here's your poll. Question, how many hot dogs Harmonia should take? How many hot doos Harmonia should take? All right, that's the question here. The options are going to be 1, 20, 69, 1.25, 7, and -3. All right, here it is. We're not going to allow additional votes. It's going to be 1 vote per person. Here's your poll. The poll is now active. Number of hot doos Harmonia should take. Oh, I could have done pie there. There needs to be more endgame content. I feel like it's not as much endgame content with that arc with Zephiel as much as just like take that endgame content and have it span earlier in the game. Like, in terms of like the general maps and stuff they're doing with the story, unless you're talking about like with Roy's promotion as well, that's connected to. Like, if they had just had that plot line going on earlier instead of it just being like the last few chapters that everything gets dumped on you suddenly, I feel like that would make this a much more satisfying game than felt like they wanted to do a Pokemon Dragonite thing, but the game system doesn't work like that. Yeah, you're just getting like powerful mons towards the end, but the way this is designed is just like, hey, he's a garbage unit, level 20, unpromoted here, and then he finally promotes and it's like, oh, well, he's a little bit more usable, I guess. So yeah, it's not like getting a, not like being able to get a high-level Pokemon on Victory Road or something like that and taking it through to the end. The game gives you Carol for like an equivalent to that if you end up recruiting him, like the level 19 sword master that can only gain 1 more level, with stats in a place where it's like, okay, yeah, he's definitely usable at this point if you do need like 1 last character to take through to the end, so it gives you that at least. But yeah, 1 hot dog for you. Are you gonna go to Megaland Emerald Finder? Since I know you be local here, come on by and play in my Mario Kart event. Wow, all the sniffles. It's one of those streams I get allergies. Also, speaking of, my neighbor's probably gonna come to to Megaland. Before I was going to Taekwondo class, I'm broke at the moment. Well, but my neighbor's probably gonna be stopping by just to like stop into the venue. My textbooks be bleeding me dry. That's understandable there. All right, there was 1 vote for 1.257 and 1 vote for -3, saying I should go to the venue and take away 3 hot dogs from people there. Or 3 hot dog equivalents. What an amazing poll, huh? Wow. But yeah, my neighbor's gonna be stopping by, but not like for the entire event, like getting a seat and doing stuff there. Instead, just popping by to see what the event is like and playing the Mario Kart kind of thing, and you know, check out the event and stuff. So I might potentially be seeing him there. We shall see. And with Fragapalooza, that one, you need to, you know, have like a little frag ID thing that they give you so that the people that they have on staff for security outside will let just those that have like a ticket in there, since that's a lot of people with a lot of equipment, you know. So we try to keep things kind of tight there so that stuff doesn't get stolen, so people can't really just pop in to Fragapalooza. But with the Mega FPS events, it's just like a rented community hall. People are going in and out all the time. It's a much smaller group. There's no like security checking anything. Everyone's just kind of kept accountable for their own stuff and looking out for the people next to them. So people can just kind of stop in and see what it's like if they want. And so it sounds like that's what my neighbor's going to be doing for like the Mario Kart thingamabob, of literally just stopping in and, you know, playing some games and then heading home without having like a proper setup. So if you ever wanted to do something like that, you can probably do that. But yeah, taking 3 away from the event, indeed. Split the difference. Take a 1.743 hot dogs from other people. Ah, yes. Let's absolutely split the difference there. Lord Roy, swords are weak against lances. Don't be careless. Specifically take, not ask for. Yep, that's what I'm gonna have to do. All right, are there any other complaints with the gameplay that I had here? I think I got through most of them. Again, like, the animations are great. The visuals are really great. I love the look of the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem games. But, man, this could definitely be handled better, I would say. Take a bite from a hot dog that someone's holding in their hand about to eat. Ah, yes, I'm gonna have to do that. Oh, man. I think I got through most of the stuff that I wanted to say. All in all, you know, there's things I like about the game. I thought it was interesting. I'm glad I can now say that I played FE6. I now know what this game is like. But if I had to choose between this and FE7, if ever I got like a Game Boy Advanced Fire Emblem itch and Sacred Stones wasn't on the table, I would choose FE7 pretty consistently. Unless I just got bored and I wanted to change it up and play FE6 instead. I think I just really prefer FE7 in a lot of ways. I think that improved on it in many ways. This, you know, there's some cool stuff going on here, and I could see myself getting really into this as like the very first Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem game, and this is like my only option on the table. But as later games released, like Blazing Sword and Sacred Stones, I would just be choosing those every time. I think, like, okay, interesting first foray. We established kind of what we're going for with the Game Boy Advance games, but I don't know if I'd really come back to this one. So that's kind of how I feel about FE6 here. I don't know where I'd rank it exactly in terms of Fire Emblem games. Maybe if I ever play through a whole bunch more Fire Emblem games on this channel, I'd make like a tier list of my favorites or something like that. But, you know, there's things I like about this game, but I don't know if it's the kind of thing that I'd really come back to. I really appreciate like the path that it set out for the future Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem games that I do really like, but this exact one, I don't know if it's, you know, quite for me here. Would I rank this to other FE games? I don't know, man. From the ones that I've played are, you know, all the Game Boy Advance games. I haven't beaten Sacred Stones, though, so I won't count that. So in terms of the ones I've actually beaten, And I haven't beaten Path of Radiance either. I played a decent bit into that back when, but I don't remember much about it. So the only ones I've played all the way through to the end and beaten are the 3DS ones, the Switch ones, and Fire Emblem 6 and 7 on the Game Boy Advance, and then like a half of Sacred Stones over and over again. And if I had to choose among any of those a Fire Emblem game to play, I think that this one might potentially be the last on that list. Either this or Three Houses, with just like how fed up I am with the calendar system in Fodland. Alright, having played through that 4 times to get all the stories, and me just being like, oh my god, I don't want to ever do that again. So maybe that's a little bit of bias speaking there. In terms of just like game quality, this one might be at the bottom of that list there. I can acknowledge that Three Houses is better. But in terms of me like choosing a game that I'd want to play, I would probably choose this over Three Houses, and then I could go for like the Sake route and, you know, get some differences there and experience some new maps and stuff like that. There's nothing I'd really want to play Three Houses for. Again, I think I'm pretty done with that game. But yeah, god, if someone did that to me, I think I'd be too shocked to get angry. Yeah, just super stunned that they took a bite out of your hot dog there. You're almost there with translated games, just Stones, Radiance, Radiant, Shadow, and Revelations to go. Discounting Warriors because it's not the same style. Can't forget Echoes either. Seeing legitimate defenders say the calendar system is optional because you can beat the game without using it. Oh, God. Yeah, just don't use it. Just throw away your limited time slots that you're never getting back. That isn't going to be saved for later or anything. It's just gone. But yeah, we actually are getting pretty close on the translated games here. We are definitely getting there. In terms of the next Fire Emblem playthrough on this channel, wait, Revelations, is that Fire Emblem or Assassin's Creed? That would be Fire Emblem for Fates there. We already did a playthrough of Assassin's Creed Revelations several years ago. Wow. Got past that in the series. Fire Emblem Fates Revelations, the third and final route that I have yet to do of the Fire Emblem Fates series. We're 200 parts into the Fire Emblem Fates series. 201 is going to start the Revelations playthrough whenever I do that. I don't think that's going to be the next Fire Emblem game I play around here. It's also worth noting, again, this is not the end of the Binding Blade playthrough, because I want to do the trial maps. I'll at least showcase those, and I'll probably just do that at Megaland, one and done kind of thing. So it's probably one last stream just to showcase the little smidge of post-game content that you have here. So I can't talk as if this is like the conclusion of this series, but I may as well do it here because I'm going to be in a rush to get through a bunch of things at Megaland anyway. And I want to, you know, not have long-winded discussions that keep me in the same game for a long time when I want to move on to the next game and get through a whole bunch of stuff fast at the event there. But yeah. Don't use the major piece of the gameplay table. It's optional, I swear. You can't complain about it. Yeah. Lolo is your notary. Just like platformer nowadays, remove game over, just respawn infinitely. Yeah, that's a great solution. But yeah, for the better that change was, I do kind of like being able to continue those games. Stuff. What are we listening to here right now? Ah, man, my nose is getting super runny. Lower Brinstar piano cover is what we're getting. But yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some debate to be had there, but with the calendar system, my goodness. After playing Fire Emblem Three Houses and after playing Persona 3 Reload, my god, I'm so done with calendars. I am very, very sick and tired there. Gaming industry is in a weird spot where at a point where we have over 20 years of good content. We don't need to buy new games if they're not good, and we've realized that. The same couldn't really be said in the 2000s. Yeah, with stuff like this where it's like, you buy this and this might be like some of the best that you can get. I mean, you can always compare it to like the consoles, which might have like similar power. I've heard great things about Genealogy. Apparently FE4 is really good. I would very much like to play it one day. But generally, as times are going on, like the games are getting better and better for a long time. And if you go back in time, it's only going to be like, you know, I shouldn't say it's only going to be a downgrade, but typically this is where you're going to be getting like the best quality content games. But I absolutely agree that we are at a point where the past 20 years are absolutely filled with like a lot of very good content, and there really isn't as much need to be buying new games anymore because there's lots of stuff that you can go back to. Like those that are really into Fire Emblem, I would very highly recommend Sacred Stones. I think Sacred Stones is very much ahead of its time with having like a world map that you traverse, options for like infinite grinding. after beating the game, you can even farm stat boosters and max out all your characters if you care about like getting a perfect save file. Like it very much felt like the first kind of instance of the modern Fire Emblem formula, but it was done at the tail end of the Game Boy Advance is what it felt like. Like that is absolutely a game that modern players of Fire Emblem I feel like could go to and enjoy. FE7? Maybe modern players would enjoy FE7. I don't know if modern players would enjoy FE6 here. I'm not entirely sure about that unless they're just like really into Fire Emblem like me and want to get different experiences. But for the sake of comparison to being like a really good comparable experience to a modern game, I would argue go play Sacred Stones. Like it is pretty good, you know? But yeah, what did lives do in modern games? Lose a checkpoint before you play it again. Just be kind of one of those things where it's all it really wastes is your time, is the argument being made then. Calendar system brings good variety for replay and bring much stake for downtime. This game would be older than 20 years. World. Yeah, this came out 2002 again, right? Fire Emblem Binding Blade. Why do I keep hitting caps while I'm typing there? This game released, yep, March 29th, 2002. So this game is currently 23 years old, it would seem. Wow. This game has gotten on in years, huh? I want to play it. I'll probably pick up Stones on that Wii U. Isn't this shop pulled? Like, can't you not buy anything anymore there? But yeah, I mean, next year Twilight Princess will be considered a retro game. 20 years? Oh god, I don't even want to think about that. Twilight Princess being a 20-year-old game. Is that like an official definition? Is like 20 years or older is retro, or just kind of like, you know, something to come up with where like 20 years or older can be considered retro? And game overs are pointless these days when you typically all you lose is a checkpoint you might have gotten. And yeah, I can agree with that there. Kind of like the whole permadeath in these games, and that's why I definitely don't mind like the Time Crystal or Milla's Turn Wheel or Divine Pulse, stuff like that, where it's like, it's not infinite. There's a finite amount of uses, so you can't just like experiment doing everything. But at least it's not like, oops, one tiny mistake. I guess you lose the map if you're resetting and it's just disrespectful to your time, or that character's gone forever. Like, I'm still pissed off about losing Sylphane in my 3 houses run, where there was this map that I was in for like a couple hours. I think it was the defending of Garrick Mach Monastery, and it's one that I won on enemy phase. So this one enemy came over and killed Sylphane, but then like another enemy, the boss enemy, I think, came over and attacked my unit or someone else who killed them, and then the map was considered won, so I couldn't use Divine Pulse anymore to go back and undo that death, so I had to restart the entire map instead of being able to use Divine Pulse. It was like the one instance in 3 houses where I still hadn't charged the Divine Pulse, but I had to restart the whole map anyway. Like, it still pisses me off. Like, all it really is just disrespectful to your time, where it's like, oh yeah, you made a time mistake, do the entire thing over again. And I'm not a big fan of that formula. And I guess the same argument can be kind of made about, like, you know, platformers and game overs. One could argue, but I mean, levels usually aren't that long, so it's not that much of a time loss. It's like when I play The Last of Us Grounded, where that difficulty is really hard, but I like it and I enjoy it. Whenever I die, I only lose like a minute or 2. I go back not too far, and I got new information. Like, you know, if you have to restart right at the beginning of a level in a platformer, I think that'd be a similar kind of thing where it's like, okay, well, I learned new things, I can keep on going, and then it feels like I'm still challenging myself and, you know, truly conquering the level start to finish. So, but yeah, in that case, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green are retro. Yeah, most retro definition is 20 years or older. Twilight Princess Wii on NA November 19th, 2006. You gonna see a Crash stage front? Oh, I've played Crash games before. So, I mean, I know that those can get kind of insane there. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I want to say about this game. I think it's pretty much done. In terms of future Fire Emblem stuff on this channel, it's probably not going to be Revelations next. I talked in the last stream about how I need to be at a point where I know that I can commit for a long haul, because it is going to be longer than my Birthright and Conquest playthroughs, with like much more paralogs to do, showcasing all the DLC content, having so many doodles to grind, unless I just do Cheaty Pete stuff for the sake of time. It's gonna take me a little while, so I need to be like prepared time-wise for it, and I need to be like mentally prepared for it as well. Like when I played Conquest, it was going into my final year of university, and I was like, you know, I kind of have the itch here. I really like Fire Emblem Fates. I'd really like to play this. I want to be in that headspace where it's like, ooh, I really want to do that final route of Fire Emblem Fates, and because I do love like Fire Emblem Fates, but if I did it right now, it would just feel like obligatory pushing through for the sake of getting through it. I want to start it when I can start at a point where I'm doing it for myself for fun. So Revelations probably isn't going to be next, I wouldn't think. I don't know if I'm ever doing another route of Three Hopes when I'm kind of done with the whole Emblem Saga there. I think that the next best candidates are probably going to be either Path of Radiance or Sacred Stones. Would probably be like the best next natural progression. Like Sacred Stones to finish off the Game Boy Advance trilogy, like completely disconnected story. Like we're done with the Elibe Saga. It's just a set of 2 games, Fire Emblem 6 and 7. So Sacred Stones would be a completely different thing, but still, like concluding the Game Boy Advance trilogy, there'd still be things that carry over gameplay-wise, even if not story-wise, so could finish that off. Or finally do Path of Radiance, what with it coming to Switch 2 coming up here with the expansion pass, or Nintendo Classics as they're calling it now, and there being like some more eyes on that game potentially. So maybe I do Path of Radiance and finally see that through. And I've heard really good things about Path of Radiance. Apparently Path of Radiance is a really good game. Maybe I do like Path of Radiance and then like Sacred Stones and then Radiant Dawn, and we get like the back and forth thing. Kind of like I had some back and forth with like other stuff between Blazing Blade and this game, or I did Fate's Conquest in the middle or something. I don't know. Or would I really do 3 full Fire Emblem playthroughs before Revelations comes around? I don't know. It's probably going to be sooner than that. So, I don't know. But I think that the best candidate from here is probably either going to be Sacred Stones or Path of Radiance. But I don't know. My game schedule is going to be pretty cramped for a little while coming up here, so it might be a bit of a hot second before we do the next Fire Emblem playthrough around here. I also have to finish another Fire Emblem like game of Dark Deity 2 that's still in progress. I'm about halfway through that game, so we do have that going on around here for another strategy game fix. But point is, it might be a little while before the next Fire Emblem playthrough, and I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be yet. We shall see how old it'll feel for PMD to be amongst the legacy game collection. It's coming up. Also, the Switch 2 news about the hardware near day 1 update to use to combat early getter. Yeah, I heard about that. Or it's like you can't even use it until the day 1 patch to combat, you know, people leaking stuff out, which makes sense. But I hope that they don't do that with Switch 2 units in the future, that ones in the future are usable right out of the box. Because what if someone in like a niche community not connected to the internet gets one and just wants to play games? Like, they shouldn't have to be in a screwed position where they just can't do anything with it unless it's connected to the internet and updates and stuff. So I imagine they probably won't do that. It'll probably just be like for the day 1 units where that needs to be installed there. I don't know. Revelations and fun in the same sentence is without not is weird. Didn't you want to beat Radiance before the GameCube port came out? I thought that at first. Play FE Warriors, the non-3 house. So I already have a full playthrough of that one. I did that years ago before Three Hopes came out. I already have a full playthrough of that one. Already done that one, but that does bring into question how long until Harm says the Warrior 3 Houses series is canceled, because I don't think he wants to touch it again. I think I could potentially seek out opportunities to play it in co-op, because that's a 2-player game. I could always do it in co-op at one point. I have my friend Finn from Germany that's going to be coming here for Fragapalooza this year. But that would be a very long-term kind of thing. Like, so if I did it multiplayer with like different people that visit me like Finn, it would be for like different sections of the story at different times. I just jump around. Maybe it's one of those playthroughs that I'm not actively doing and I just hop into when there's a chance to do like co-op with some people or something. But there's so many freaking maps when I want to do like all the optional stuff along the way, and then it takes like forever because much like the calendar system, I don't want to miss out on that optional stuff before it's gone forever, like the optional battles feel like in Three Hopes, and it's a friggin' mess there. Yeah, and you can't do it online, so it's only in person. If it was online, like, man, I would reach out to different content creator friends and be like, hey, you want to do like a playthrough with me? And then like sessions might be far and few between because of like scheduling multiplayer, but it'd be so much more fun. And I would get a kick out of playing that game in multiplayer instead of just hamming out the same things again as single player. Parsec, what, and use like what was it, Yuzu or something like that, and do that. Alright, Joy-Con 2 mouse grip, is that even useful or just a waste? We'll probably have to find out once it comes out. Also, I can absolutely 3D print something like that. There are custom 3D models for, like, Switch Joy-Con grips already. I have no doubt that people will make 3D models for, like, Joy-Con mouse grips. So, I probably won't buy those. I'll probably make my own, because why would I buy stuff when I can just, like, make my own stuff of all sorts of cool different things, like this Mario Kart trophy here. So, I'll probably make my own eventually. I would imagine wait for someone else to upload a model first. But yeah, anyway. In regards to the GameCube thingamabob, I initially started playing through games before they came out to, you know, see if that would help me at all with, like, Nintendo Ninja kind of stuff. That originally started with Paper Mario 64, where the Nintendo Switch Online expansion was announced and Paper Mario was coming to it, and I was like, oh god, I guess I'm doing my Paper Mario series now. And I bum rushed through Paper Mario 64 before Nintendo charged me $100 for my family plan Nintendo Classics thingamabob. So I bum rushed through that before it came out. What else did I bum rush through before it came out on Nintendo Online? I think that there was another game that I did a similar thing for. I don't remember what it was right now, and I had a similar title to Paper Mario 64. But at this point, I'm already late when it comes to Fire Emblem anyway. Like, I could get through Path of Radiance before it comes out on Switch Online. But if I'm gonna play Sacred Stones at some point anyway, that's already on Switch Online. So, this whole try to beat these things before they come out on Switch Online, I already haven't. Like, I've already missed the opportunity. So now it's like, okay, well, there's probably not as much need to, like, bum rush through Path of Radiance. Maybe I should still do it a little bit earlier, just so that, you know, if I did end up doing it late in the year and it came out on Switch Online, people wouldn't be like, huh, this just came out on Switch Online and he's playing it on something else. Like, what's going on here? You know, raise less eyebrows or something. I don't know, man. But I'm already late because I can't do Sacred Stones before it comes out, since I'm already late on that. So I don't know if there's much point about playing Path of Radiance before this version comes out anyway. It might not matter. But yeah. And I mean, maybe when it comes to the motion controls, some people much prefer being able to, like, aim with a mouse rather than doing something like pointing a Wiimote at the TV screen and aiming that kind of way. Like, it's also just nice being able to rest your hand. Like, how when you see people playing shooter games on PC want to be you know, pointing a motion thing at the TV screen if they have the option to just use a mouse or something or other. Also, there's a rumor of Switch 2 theme being either purchasable or Nintendo Switch Online exclusive, or both. If they do something, it'll probably be the latter, knowing how they do their stuff there with, like, subscriptions and the timed exclusive rewards and stuff like that you can redeem. Path of Radiance is Ike's game, an outlier to the hate FE in Smash, so I'd say it's bigger than Erica's game, who they're not aware of. So he's saying that, like, in terms of, like, content creation and cloud and the things that people are more interested in, there's gotta be more interest surrounding Path of Radiance because people are like, whoa, Ike! Whereas with Erica, they're like, who the hell is that? But that's gonna be the better one to do. Let's see here. Yeah, pretty much done with FE6 now. Do I have, yeah, I have Sacred Stones here, thingamabob. Oh, it comes up with this first. Here, we can look at, like, the menu and stuff here. It's about to be 3 in the morning. I should wrap things up here pretty soon. Yeah, it does have its thing coming out here soon on Switch, and it's the thing that people are, like, aware of with Smash Bros and stuff like that, unlike Sacred Stones, where it's like, you know it if you're in the Fire Emblem community. Otherwise, you've never heard of this game in your life. That is a good point there. And then we continue with, like, the whole back and forth thing across, like, Game Boy Advance game, different game. Game Boy Advance game, different game, Game Boy Advance game, to mix things up a little bit. Maybe we end up doing that. That very theory was suggested for Roy earlier this stream with the popularity from Smash and all that. But yeah, Sacred Stones gameplay-wise, I'd argue is definitely the best of the Fire Emblem Game Boy Advance games. Like, really taking what they learned with FE6 and 7 and applying it into... Wow, this is 20 years old as well now, isn't it? That is certainly quite the feeling. Yeah, I wouldn't have any old save files around. Got easy, normal, and difficult. All sorts of modes that you can select right from the beginning, and it's great and stuff. Yeah, I'll do Sacred Stones eventually. But, yeah, maybe Path of Radiance will be the next thing. It's not a bad idea. Maybe. I think I have that one set up here already, probably. Where would that one be? Yeah, I do. I swear we had this remix earlier. But yeah, and look how clean the pixel artwork is and stuff. The Ike is still relevant because he typically is on the list of FE fighters who stick around on people's Smash 6 wish list. Yeah, that's fair enough there. Also, Pokemon Legends ZA box art has come out. It has? Let's see here. Pokemon Legends ZA box. By, okay. Let's see here. Wow. It's a nice box art. I like it. Nintendo Switch 2 edition. This just doesn't look as good as this, honestly. Like the whole top bar across as opposed to just like the tiny little square and, you know, the background being able to bleed in that way. So we're kind of shifting things down and then adding like this Nintendo Switch 2 edition text. And then all this crap here that has to go in. Why is my nose so itchy? This happens some streams where like my nose gets super runny and then it's my body telling me that I gotta stop streaming. Like this looks nice and clean. This looks like you know. Too bad the legendary Zygarde got cropped. That was too bad. That doesn't make it in. Can I see this in like a full screen kind of thing? Can I see it a little bit bigger there? Okay. I was about to say, is that Mega Lucario? It looks like it is. We got Megas like right on the box there. I mean, maybe not every region will have like a thing like this. But yeah, this just doesn't look as good. Like this looks nice. I like this box art. That's pretty cool. I see we've got the stars at the front. I still question the choice of the starters and stuff like that. No, I kind of like that box art. Like, it doesn't really give like a sense of vastness, like something like Breath of the Wild looking over the horizon, or Legends Arceus, I think, was something similar like that, where it's like you're on a hilltop and you're looking in the distance to really give a sense of vastness of the world. But I guess you wouldn't really be able to do that for something that's confined to one city anyway. But like, it's just clean artwork. But it doesn't really give a sense of scale necessarily. I don't know. Just send in Pokemon chat the full art. Okay, well, this probably works well enough here anyway. Remember from the art is that Looker might have a Mega? Guess we shall see here. Anyway, the oh. Ignore for this session here. So I do have like Path of Radiance not quite set up and ready to go, but I don't know. But hey, my computer's lagging. Whoa. What is going on? Is something eating a bunch of CPU or something? Let's just go ahead and maybe, do I not have Dolphin in the thing here? Let's just go ahead and kill that. Is what we'll do. But yeah, if Looker's in there and even has a Mega, that'd be kind of cool. Anyway. Heck yeah. Anyway, it's 3 in the morning. I should probably get some sleep here. Point is, I don't know, maybe Path of Radiance will be next at some point. Oh, there's one last thing that I can chat about here. Mega Land plans. So, about me not destroying my sleep too much. Let's see here. Let's open a notepad and paste this. So, Mega Land this year is scheduled to go like 2:30 to 2. Like, it's about 48 hours. Like, we might be starting early depending on when we get set up. I thought like if I'm sleeping for about 15 hours, then maybe it's about 33-ish hours that I can put in. But I calculated the amount of hours I put into Mega Land 2024, and it's about 36 hours. It's like 5 minutes short of 36 hours for the Mega Land 2024 playlist. So, in optimal conditions, maybe I can put in like 36 hours across the weekend. Like, we'll see here. So I've put this stuff here in terms of like maybe priority. I was thinking this would probably be like the main game. I always like having like a main game that I do start to finish at each of these LAN events nowadays. And I did Thousand Year Door at Mega Land last year during Mega Land 2024. So I figured this might be a natural progression while also continuing my Mario RPG series. So I'd figured like, all right, according to how long to beat, that's 18.5 hours. The Mario Kart thingamabob that we're doing, that's gonna be 1 to 2 hours. Let's assume that it's like 2 hours or something like that we're playing that. If we're doing Night Rain, then there's gonna at least be a couple hours of that, if not more. for things that have like a finite amount of content of like seeing through here, I can probably get through the rest of Ghost of Tsushima in about an hour and a half. Probably. If I'm doing these quests for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I could probably do that in like an hour, like 25 minutes to half an hour for each of those quest lines. The trial maps, I don't know, maybe that'll take me like 2 hours for this game or something like that. I can do the no return content of Last of Us Part 2 and like do a few runs of that for maybe an hour or two. Like I can cut this down to like an hour if I really need to. I like doing self-contained things where I can. I'm currently in the middle of Final Fantasy VII, so maybe I'll go recruit like Yuffie and Vincent, because that should be able to be done like pretty quickly. And then that's something short that can be kept within like an hour to keep the runtime down. I like to do a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles X there. So if I'm doing FA missions there, maybe that'd be 1 to 2 hours. Like maybe cut it down to just like 1 if I'm running low on like the other things. If I end up playing Helldivers 2 with my cousins while there, then there's a good chance that we might do that for a couple hours. And there's also other potential things that might go on. Like what if we get a decent group around and we end up playing Mario Party? Like what if something like that ends up happening? Who knows? Or people are having so much fun in Mario Kart and want to go on even longer than that. Or so I can't know for sure, but I've been trying to do like math here. So all this stuff here would add up to about 34 hours as is. And there's some things that I could potentially cut down. But there's going to be unexpected things that happen. So I am definitely going to have my work cut out for me here if I do manage to get through everything that I want to get through. So, yep, the Last 8 Deluxe, it's not going to be a tournament per se, because, like, what if someone can only play for this period, or someone can only play for this period, or something like that. So we're not going to do a tournament. I would like to do a Mario Kart tournament at Fragapalooza, like an actual full-on tournament. This is just going to be, like, casual, anyone can hop in and play, and then, like, maybe the person that has, like, the most points at the end gets a little 3D printed trophy, because that's kind of fun. So yeah, the final thing, Bob. Mario Kart 8 Mega Land 2025. Once I get like the star put in the dang it. Once I get our star put in here and all set up, like it's turned out pretty alrighty, right? Something like that. I'll get everything glued together. I have second thoughts about the wood grain filament, but I don't want the plastic to go to waste, so too late now. Person with the hugest score gets 1.7 hot dogs. Yep. That's what's gonna happen here. So that's where it went. So, taken from them, of course. Yep. Or that. So, yeah. We are gonna have one last Fire Emblem Binding Blade stream at Megaland, but, no Moon Cup. So sad. And this is my shopping list of stuff to get through. So, you know, these LAN events might not be 24-hour charity streams for me, where I'm not going for 24 hours trying to get through as much stuff as possible. I can go to sleep at any time. But as these have gone on, you know, I'm kind of taking more and more on my shoulders for like, how much stuff can I get through? Super Paper Mario is shorter than Paper Mario 1000-Year Door, so I'll be, you know, I'll have more free time after it. I'm gonna try to semi-bum rush. I don't know. We'll see here. Or maybe Night Rain is gonna be so fun that we just want to commit to that, and then this is gonna be another event. But I still kind of want to do this, and then maybe just like a little bit of Night Rain. I don't know, man. There's gotta be some stuff that gets played by ear, like how long do I end up playing Night Rain and Helldivers with family? How long does Mario Kart go on for? Like, just how long do we want to play? Will Mario Party end up happening? And then that gets added to this as well. So I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna be able to get through this. In fact, I'm fairly certain that this probably isn't exactly gonna pan out. But I would like to showcase all these different things if I can. If Super Paper Mario has to be done on my own time, like in 1 or 2 streams after, then fine, that's what it comes down to, I guess. That's what I had to do with Metroid Prime 2, sorry, with Fragapalooza last year, where I couldn't actually get through Metroid Prime 2 in time, and I was like, oh crap, I've run out of time with the event. We'll finish this off at home later. So if something like that needs to happen and I can't get through everything, I would like a little bit of time remaining on this to be the thing that I get through at home, I figure. Because, like, all these are so dang short. Look how many short things I piled up here. I have so many short things in mind. But, like, just so many of them that's really going to contribute. So, I might not be doing 24 hours of pinball. but I am taking quite a lot of stuff onto my shoulders here. I compared to Megaland 2024, as that was like the first one that I went really ham on with the Mega FPS events to kind of determine how many hours I have to work with, because HalloLand last year, my OBS was breaking, my computer was freezing, I wasn't streaming for like a decent chunk of it. It was only like 20-hour runtime or something like that I calculated when, you know, my stream was constantly down. Janland last year was like my first time going, and I think things were handled like pretty casually. I wasn't really going hard yet. And Janland this year, I was going with Guzma, and he wasn't used to those kinds of events, and I wanted to go a bit easier on him. And so, like, we just didn't do any streaming at all on the third day. We just went, like, right home. He was having a lot of trouble sleeping, and I was like, all right, you know, I'm not gonna, like, completely destroy my guest just because I want to play more video games on my channel for this LAN event. That would be not a very considerate thing to do. So this is like the only of the Mega FPS events that I could compare to for runtime. So in ideal conditions, I might have about 36 hours to work with, you know. But yeah, I guess Guzman had his social battery run out with like not being here for a little while. There's a little bit more complexities to that there. I don't know, I heard Super was the most story heavy of the series. He's not risking violating the pinball conventions this time. Yep. Not doing that. No, I ended up chatting to Guzma a decent smidge after the trip about some things that were just stepping over my boundaries a little bit that I wasn't quite 100% comfortable with. And that resulted in there being a little bit of a falling out initially. And then there was no chatting for like 2 months as I was waiting to get a response to like the last response that I had sent, trying to like, you know, deconstruct things and be like, hey, you know, I still want to be friends and all that, but you know, there's these things that, you know, I feel like are pushing my boundaries a little bit here is all. But we chatted again about 2 weeks ago, something like that, and got things cleared up, and things are a-okay, and I believe that he's back in the Discord server again, but like just removed the the entering kind of text there to kind of do so incognito and stuff, and might be easing back into things here again at some point. So we got things sorted out there, but yeah, there was a little bit of a weirdness kind of time there, you could say. But, you know, we talked things out. We be on good terms. Might be seeing him around here again at some point. But it's gonna have to be at, like, you know, his own pace, his own comfort zone and stuff like that. I'm not gonna be pushing him or anything. And it sounds like he's trying to make some changes in his life as well that he's trying to keep at. It sounded like the last time that I chatted to him, which, you know, good on him. Stuff like that. So that's the basics of that situation there. But yeah, and I'll still be like doing voice acting for his game that he's developing and stuff like that. So one of these days when I have some time, I can go through those lines and send him the stuff that he needs for his video game and all that. So yeah, but yeah, anyway, that's a Mega LAN plan. So let's try to get these trial maps done. I don't know, will it be about 2 hours? 5 trial maps? Maybe this will be an exactly 50-part series, because like this would be part 44 and 45 for this stream for like the 2 maps, and like all this stuff afterwards, the finale part. And then there's 5 maps, so it'd be an exactly 50-part series. That'd be really satisfying. But yeah, he better be a good voice director. I don't think he has any experience voice directing, but we shall see here when I get like feedback on lines and stuff like that. I don't know if there's anything else for me to say. It's 3:11 in the morning. It's probably time for me to get some sleep. I shouldn't be like pulling an all-nighter the night before Mega LAN. I'm gonna destroy my sleep here. I'm gonna have to get to bed at a decent hour tomorrow. And to further that along, I better not stay up too much longer tonight. Oh yeah, I forgot I had Sacred Stones open, I'm gonna be honest with you. Alright. The series will continue a little bit in a few days' time with the Mega LAN event, and just showcase what kind of post-game content FE6 has. And then we're done. And then it won't be Fire Emblem for a while. But yeah, overall, that was Binding Blade. I'm glad that I can finally say I have Binding Blade under my belt. I don't know if it's a game that I'd really see myself coming back to, but I had fun with it. You know, I definitely enjoyed it. But there are definitely Fire Emblem games that I would much prefer playing over this. Is definitely my conclusion here. But there are some things that I enjoyed about it. But for now, I'm gonna get some sleep so I can get to packing and potentially playing a little bit of Night Rain tomorrow, I mean today, and get Mega LAN preparations underway. So until next time at Mega LAN, take care and see ya. Goodbye.